Welcome to Agentic Ethical AI Leadership and Human Wisdom. This is the podcast that explores the architecture, psychology, and meta-regulative foundations of the systems that will govern artificial intelligence in the future, not the race for capability, not the acceleration of power, but the deeper human structures that determine whether technology will strengthen us or collapse us. Today, we are entering a different layer of the global conversation, a layer that has very little to do with hype and everything to do with responsibility. A layer most people never touch because it requires something most people avoid their entire lives, stepping into uncertainty first. This is the part of leadership that cannot be faked. The part Simon Sinek used to point to when he said that real leaders go first into danger, not last. But even he never went far enough, because leadership is not just going first. Leadership is staying when everyone else retreats. Leadership begins exactly where safety ends. And this is the moment where 99% of people disappear. Over the last days, something interesting happened. Quiet, subtle, but unmistakable. A rise in visibility. People from academia, senior researchers, people from ethical circles, people from spiritual leadership, people who normally never engage, people who watch from the side until something resonates at a deeper level of integrity. They have begun to appear, not loudly, not publicly, but they are watching because they can feel the shift. And this shift is not created by branding, not by marketing, and not by noise. It is created by extreme ownership. This week's leadership post made something visible. It revealed a pattern that almost no one dares to say out loud. Most people want innovation, but only when it is safe. They want leadership, but only when someone else goes first. They want risk, but only when the outcome is guaranteed. They want purpose, but collapse when pressure is applied. They want transformation, but refuse the discomfort that creates it. This is not an insult. It is not arrogance. It is not judgment. It is simply the human truth. True leadership is rare, and transformation has never been driven by the many. It has always been driven by the few. And here is the bridge into the global AI discussion. The scandal around OpenAI was never the board drama. It was never the governance model. It was never the flip between nonprofit and for-profit. The real scandal is that OpenAI built AGI knowing fully it could end humanity. Sam Altman said it himself years ago. AI will probably lead to the end of the world, but in the meantime, we will build great companies. That was the moment the breach happened. Not the structural change, not the investor tension. The moment they consciously chose to pursue a technology they believed might extinguish humanity, and then added incentives that accelerate that risk. This is exactly why what we are building is fundamentally different. Exidion is not building AGI. Exidion is not escalating capability. Exidion is not participating in a race. Exidion is building the cognitive meaning layer that keeps multi-agent systems accountable to human meaning. We do not incentivize risk. We incentivize the spread of safety. BrandMind sits next to it as the economic bridge, not as a for-profit version of Exidion, not as a commercialization engine, but as the interface that brings human behavior, psychological patterns, organizational dynamics, and decision structures into Exidion's research. Participants in BrandMind receive no equity upside, no AGI incentive, no reward for dangerous capability. Their incentives align with safety, maturity, and meaning. This is the structural inversion of the OpenAI model. It is not the continuation of it, meaning first, human first, safety first. And yes, we are entering a rebranding phase for BrandMind because the ecosystem we are building is not just a company. It is not just a project. It is a field that requires precision, maturity, and identity in a world that is collapsing under noise. So let's return to leadership for a moment, because this is where everything converges. Real leadership is not glamorous. Real leadership is not public. Real leadership is not rewarded in the beginning. Real leadership is stepping into the unknown and holding the pressure so others do not collapse. Real leadership means going without applause, without validation, without support, without any guarantee that the outcome will justify the sacrifice. This is agency. This is ethics. This is the human wisdom layer missing in global AI governance. And this is exactly where Exidion begins, not with capability, but with responsibility. And now the closing signal. This is not the end of the conversation. It is the beginning of a new signal, a signal that says we do not race for power, we build for humanity. If this resonates, you already feel the direction. Follow that. The next era won't be led by the loud, it will be led by the aware.